What would you say is the biggest mistake you see companies making when it comes to their social media?
So most people waste an enormous amount of money, time, and effort on organic social, when in reality, the thing that they need to be doing is...
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Creative Table. We're here with our good friend and fellow creative and social media marketing extraordinaire, Evan Knox. Another cool fact, Evan is also a certified Storybrand guide, which we will talk more about as well. But welcome to the table.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Give us a little overview of who you are and the business you're in.
Yeah, so I run Caffeine Marketing. It's an agency here in the Atlanta area. We help small companies make marketing profitable. Generally, they're doing like less than $50 million a year or so. And I'm also an investor. So in both roles, I serve the opportunity as like a CMO, and I help grow companies.
So which one's got the most of your attention right now? Caffeine or the investor side?
I would say that typically it's Caffeine. Mm-hmm. However, recently we just acquired a virtual assistant company, and it unfortunately has been the one that's required the most of our time. A lot of these companies, they are stagnant in their growth. And so we come in, it's myself and two other business leaders or whatever you want to call us, and we'll like not turn around the business, but we'll 4 or 5x the business so that we can sell it in 2 to 3 years. So we've yet to actually sell one of them, but we've gotten
like flip businesses the way, you know.
Yeah, like properties or something.
Gaines flips houses over here.
Yeah, and not all of them are that, you know. So we might come in as a partner in a business to eventually sell it for more. Sometimes we just want to make it like a lot more profitable or whatever. But all that to be said, a recent business that we just acquired, it looked better on paper than it actually was. And it's almost like when we lifted, you know, when they handed us the keys to the car, the engine blew up. And we were like,
yeah, great. I love it when that happens.
Yeah. So we've considered like unwinding our position of the company, but we're just like, we really could see this company as a virtual assistant company, an asset for other companies. All that to be said, I'm a lot more involved in this particular company than I typically am. So it's okay.
Well, looking at caffeine marketing and the social media side, because that's what we're going to be diving into. Who are some of the companies that you work with? I mean, who's your ideal client? You mentioned 50 million and under is kind of your target. Is that right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So e-commerce is really fun and really easy. To build a marketing strategy for an e-commerce company, it's not necessarily like a plug and play. You can just, take that same. I've got like an internal sheet basically that's like a checklist that we run through to make sure that we're doing all the right things to grow a company. But it's taking that list and adapting that to each one. So e-commerce is really easy, so we like that. But sometimes it even looks like a medical sales company. So one of our clients is medical sales. They will contact Vonco Med, and they'll reach out to Vonco Med, and they will either have new or refurbished equipment, and they'll completely outfit a new medical facility or rehab facility. And so for them, we've essentially designed a marketing funnel to begin with, and then we redid their website. Now we're doing Google and Facebook ads for them, and it's really, really profitable. So pretty much at this point, every dollar they spent with us, they're at least making 17 back. So
so is your really ideal client a company that has a product to offer, or is it the creative or the services based or product based? Or I don't even know how to ask how to get into this, but I want to understand like what's the problem or pain point that most of your clients have that when they come to you, and that way the people watching can understand like, okay, that's me, right?
I think it comes down, so they might come to us and the language that they're going to use is, hey, we need to get our name out there. We need more people to know about us, which is true to an extent. So if we look at a marketing funnel, there's brand awareness, there's consideration, and then there's conversion. Now that's an oversimplification. There's
all kinds of steps in between or sub. Yeah.
You can make it as complex.
There's a lot more rungs on that ladder, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I like those 3 because it's really easy for people to get handles on. And it's still true. So they are asking the question of brand awareness, which is how do I make more people aware that our brand exists? And that's important, but they don't think of any of the steps.
They go beyond that, right?
Right. When in reality, most companies, at least most small businesses, yes, they have a glaring issue that people aren't aware that they exist. But everything below that is broken. So there's no marketing strategy. There's nothing that they can actually...
You say below that, you mean beyond that, right? Like if you are aware of the company, it's like what's after that is what's broken, right?
Yes, and. So if you were like looking at an actual funnel, like we were going to pour oil into a car, right? Okay. You've got that top section is the widest. So you're going to talk to the most people in the brand awareness. The middle section is people that are aware that you exist. You're then reinforcing your messaging. You're communicating what problems that you solve, how you're going to help them win the day, all
the consideration phase.
Yes. Yeah.
So we got awareness, consideration, and conversion.
Making it as easy as possible for people to buy your products or services. So they come to us and they say, hey, we need more people to know about us. And at that point, I know, being able to grow these companies, maybe that's your issue, but really I have to diagnose what is your marketing strategy? 99% of the businesses probably that we work with, when they first came to us, they might be doing a little bit of Facebook ads because that they have an intern or somebody that's doing that, which is fine that they're trying that out, right? It's good. We have to start somewhere. But unfortunately, it's not part of a bigger picture and it's not profitable. And unfortunately, the problem that they need solved is that they have no predictable way to scale and grow their company. That's the problem that they have. The actual way we might go about that might be organic social, it might be paid social, it might be a website, it might be a sales funnel. That all depends. Like, for example, one of our clients, this is another service-based one, is called Femex Advisors. And I just got off of a Zoom call with them yesterday. And they came to us, hey, Evan, they asked a similar question. Hey, we need to get in front of female financial advisors because they coach female financial advisors to get more clients. I won't get in the nuts and bolts of their competition can't replicate this, right? But that's part of like what working with Caffeine is. There's like this special sauce to it. If I just told you, hey, we're doing LinkedIn for these guys, and
that doesn't tell me anything. Yeah,
that doesn't.
No. So but on the client side, they needed what they said.
They said, hey, we need to get in front of financial advisors. But once we come to that first meeting, we talk to them, hey, what's your goals? Where are you going to go? Really, they want to scale and grow their company. There's 3 of them right now. It's a very healthy margin in their services, which is awesome. And so we tried LinkedIn and we above broke even, but it wasn't great. We tried Facebook. Unfortunately, Facebook said, hey, because you are saying $1 million clients, it flagged it as like misleading, which is actually what they do. So we're appealing that, but then we went back to LinkedIn. And so then we optimized those campaigns. We created a new ad copy. We had a new strategy on how we were going to go about it. And they told me yesterday that they're getting twice as many leads as they were last year. We're hardly spending, we're spending money, but not a whole lot. And they're on track to double their business this year. So they're ecstatic. So generally it's
awesome.
Hey, we have this problem, but really the thing is we need to grow this and scale this.
Okay. So I want to back up and, I jumped into Facebook in 2003, 2004. I was in college at the time. I got rolling. I was excited about this opportunity to connect with old friends, family members, et cetera. Fast forward over the years, the Facebook became Facebook. We've got now this sort of whole business side of it that didn't exist before, which I had a hard time kind of accepting at first, but realized today it was a huge opportunity for companies to really take advantage of the network that Facebook has made available to people. Now, there's Facebook, and of course there's LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and others. And help me understand how to manage all that in my brain, and where should you start?
So approximately 1 out of 5 minutes on somebody's phone is actually spent on Facebook, Instagram, or their audience networks.
Okay.
So if you think of these companies, their goal, and I don't know that they would explicitly say this, but their platforms are designed to keep you engaged. So TikTok, we'll see if it's still around one day, but for now, it's incredibly engaging. I feel like I can't have it on my phone because I can't stop looking at it. And so when Instagram copied TikTok and they introduced Instagram Reels or whatever, they're finding another way to keep you engaged and sucked into their platform, because the more that you're on their platform, the more that you're going to scroll, and then advertisers like me are going to present you ads on products that you might want to buy. So if we go back to where should you start, there's 2 sides. There's organic social and there's paid social. That's just the way that I refer to them. Okay. So paid social is when you're paying to play. So at some point, we decided, or Facebook decided for us, that, hey, to reach more people, you're going to need to pay money. And they did that pretty early on. Mark Zuckerberg was very apparent that, hey, we're going to make money. We're not going to make people pay to be a part of the platform. We're going to make money from showing people ads. And so originally on Facebook, you had this opportunity to get a lot of organic reach because it was a newer platform, but there was more people than there was content available. So you were able to scale and grow your audience on Facebook and do it very quickly. And then not only that, but you continue to stay in front of your audience. And I remember I was running a nonprofit in Charlotte's Facebook that had, I don't know, like 50,000 people. And our reach was just rapidly decreasing, which reach is just the number of people that you actually show your brand to or your post to. And so the reach starts going down. And what ends up happening is that there is more content out there than there are people to consume it.
Yep.
So in order to really get in front of your target audience, you need to pay Facebook.
It's a Disney Fast Pass. Gets your it gets you at the front of the line for the eyeballs, right?
Yeah. So in order to stand out, you have to do one of two things. You have to be really niche, or niche, or whatever the right word is there.
Yeah.
And you have to have
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche. I like it.
Yeah.
And you have to do something that's really different. You have to find, if you just want to have like we were talking about your office, which is beautiful. There's people who just do office tours, or they just have desk setups on Instagram, and they might have 300,000 followers.
Okay.
Now they've got an awesome opportunity to sell desk related products because this is a super niche community. So I would first say to the creatives out there, you have to find some unique angle, because if you're a wedding photographer, you're kind of out of luck. There's a lot of those on Facebook or Instagram right now.
Yep.
So find something there, or make it really, really good or really unique. And so if you cannot hit that really high production quality, like I know myself, the time that I have, the margin that I have, how much I actually want to invest in social, I try to do more in the moment stuff, knowing that that's not necessarily going to differentiate me from all the other millions of entrepreneur business owners out there. But I want to speak to the people who care about what we're doing and what I'm doing. And so for me, I'm not looking to grow this massive audience. If that happens one day, that's great. But this is more in that consideration phase for me. So the way that I see social media and how that works, I'm not trying to gain this huge brand awareness on social. It's the people that I've shown ads to, that have organically heard from me, that I'm keeping them continually engaged. Now, every post that you post, say on Instagram or Facebook, is going to reach maybe 10% of your followers or the people that like your page. So I always think, okay, is this something I want to speak directly to the person that's considering starting, whatever stage they're in their business, growing their business. And ultimately it comes down to strategy, figuring out what's unique for you, making it, if you're going to make the decision to make it really high production, make it awesome. And then ultimately you have to see what's your end goal. Is the goal to grow your brand awareness? Because it is going to take a long time to do that, and it can be done, but it's going to take a lot of effort and sometimes money to do that. So I like to see it as consideration and part of
slow burn. Yeah.
Overall marketing strategy.
That's good to know. So Facebook, somebody comes, interacts with your brand, they're in that consideration phase, they leave. And then the way to keep them engaged, is that where we get the retargeting comes in, or what is that? What does that mean?
So
target acquired, fire, missiles.
Mission critical, right? So think of it, if you're posting on social, okay, you're only going to reach a certain percentage of people that follow your page.
Yep.
Okay. Retargeting, I can now show people ads that like our page, but have also gone onto our website. And not only that, I can actually show them more specifically what products they looked at. Or in the case of a service business, let's say that medical company, for example, they offer used or refurbished, I think is the right word for that, and then also new. So if they go on the refurbished site, I can actually show them refurbished equipment ads. So I can be so specific, and I can talk directly to the person.
Is it just as simple as a cookie on the computer, or what is it?
Yes. And hopefully I don't get too technical. It really is easy. It sounds complex. Is this the
pixel thing? You put a pixel? I've never understood that. I'm like, there's a pixel on my screen that's tracking.
Just one little pixel on your website.
Yeah.
So what it is a small piece of code. Facebook refers to theirs as a pixel.
Okay. So it's not actually a pixel.
No.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
In our world, film side of things, it's like, wait, there's a pixel?
What's the resolution?
Which one is it? No.
I feel you.
Okay, cool. So it's a little line of code.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me give you a really simple example.
Sure.
So for you, if you go onto Caffeine Marketing's website, right?
Yep.
The pixel on my website is going to fire. That's the technical term.
Okay.
It's going to fire, and it's going to know that you, Kevin Campbell, went on to my website.
Yep.
And so now I can show you ads across all of Facebook's properties.
Okay.
So Instagram, Facebook, all of their audience network, Messenger, whatever. I can now show you ads under retargeting. Once you come onto the website, I can now, through the ads platform, show you an ad specific to, whatever page that you're on, or if you just went on the page. And my goal at that point, if it was my marketing strategy, I'm now communicating my message to you. Maybe like through a video that we create that's like a minute long, something like that engages them into a Storybrand story, tells them how they're going to win the day, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's part of a larger picture. It is consideration similar to posting on social media, but you now can have a direct offer to them and you can scale it up.
Like these people with this pixel get this offer, right?
Yes, so you can get very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a nonprofit that I worked at before, they had stuff for adults and they also had stuff for parents. So there's two sides of this. You could target somebody who is a parent, that's an interest-based targeting. Mm-hmm. And then you could also target them, which is what I would do on this scenario, is if they go into the parents page. So on the website. That's
what I'm thinking, is there's got to be some sort of page that has that.
Just a piece of code.
Cool. And that would override the code they picked up on the homepage, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another way that you can further, and we're kind of getting, I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but you could further retarget people if they're already a customer. So like, let's say you have had 300 people work with Form Films and you're like, I don't want to show all my current customers ads because that's going to feel weird. And I don't want them to keep seeing me. So I can now upload a customer list, a first name, last name, email of my current customers, and I can choose to exclude those people and not show them ads. Mm-hmm. So it's it's almost like a math equation. So you guys, in my opinion, are incredible artists, right? You've got this creative side. You're amazing at making film. I like to think of myself more on the math and strategy side because I know how to pull and pick these little different elements together to get the result of a high ROI. Yeah. But both are important. If you have beautiful creative and great things that stand out, it doesn't matter what your strategy is.
Okay, so cover that swath. Touch on those various social media channels, but are they necessary? Do I need all of them? If I'm just starting out, like what's the best way for me, if I'm a solopreneur or otherwise, to start using social media? Like where would I even begin? So yeah, YouTube, Google AdWords, LinkedIn, are they important? Do I need all of it together as a symphony, or do I just start here? How does that work?
Okay, so this is not an end goal. Like what I'm gonna lay out here, this is like we're the beginning or the middle, somewhere in there. And also, I really like to think about sustainability and processes. So like what's actually realistic for the 3-person team, or the husband and wife team or whatever that may be. And so I like to look at where you're going to get the best bang for your buck as far as time goes. I think that LinkedIn is really interesting right now. And I say that because there's still opportunity for organic reach. And I'm seeing a lot of people that are getting clients organically from LinkedIn. Like they'll post something, share something.
I'm feeling that too, honestly. I've seen the stuff I've seen and the experience there. I think, I'm right there with you.
That's great. And I would say that it's probably more so to people who offer services or they sell to a person. Mm-hmm. They might, the medical example we already mentioned a couple of times now, but they sell medical stuff and that might still be a good solution for them. But for the average B2C products, probably not a good idea on LinkedIn. Doesn't mean you can't do it though, but that's my 2 cents. Facebook, to start out, it's okay to cross-post. And what I mean by that is that you want to post something on Instagram, you can automatically share it to Facebook. Okay. Yeah. That's not the end goal. Ideally, you want to have creative content for each one, make them independent. But if I look at the ROI of my time, it's not worth my time and what little time I have to do independently different ones. TikTok, now you've got Instagram Reels and TikTok. So if you're going to do Instagram Reels, you might as well post it to TikTok or vice versa. Twitter is interesting. I think that there's definitely an opportunity to do community engagement there. And what I mean by that is you can chime in on different topics. You can build awareness to what you do and what you offer. So let's say I wanted to talk about Storybrand. I would just search the hashtag Storybrand and I could probably get clients by just going to Storybrand, /Storybrand, a hashtag, and then just commenting on people's posts and building a relationship organically.
So you wouldn't say Twitter's dying. I feel like some people say that it's kind of on the way out or it's just pivoting. It's hard to say. I can't.
It's like a newspaper. Okay. It's like a talking newspaper. Okay. So I don't think that it's going anywhere, but is it the best thing ever? Not really. But some people are on there. Like business executives, a lot of those are on there, but a lot of them are on LinkedIn too. And I just personally like LinkedIn better than Twitter. So Then you've got TikTok, like I mentioned, Google Ads. So you refer to Google AdWords. They recently rebranded to Google Ads. And it includes when we're on the advertising platform, it also includes their search partner network or their display network or whatever, which is similar to Facebook's all the other times that you're not actually using Google or using Facebook. It's all the other properties, like the New York Times. They're like advertising the New York Times. So as you look at that, there's also YouTube. I really like YouTube for creatives. I think if you can find something really, interesting and you can have a unique angle on what you do, and there is a little education that you might need to do on how to make videos specific to YouTube. People are gonna want to see it really fast paced. You might want to change angles every 6 seconds, which, as a video guy, you probably already do that already, But it's hard for me as let's say I'm working on something and I go, oh, I need to share this with people. Now I can sit there and just record a video like with my iPhone or get a nice camera and do that. But if I don't have the full production to it, people are gonna get tired of just staring at me talking for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, unless you've got something really, niche to talk about. Yeah.
Well, even then, there's a guy that I follow who's another investor, and he teaches it's Jeremy Harbour. And he teaches a certain style of investing and how to do that with small businesses. Okay. He probably only gets 1,000 views every video, but he posts every day. Now his video quality is not great,
sure,
but he does have uniquely valuable content. He's an international entrepreneur. I know the dude's really smart and knows what he's talking about. So there is that. Mm-hmm. To circle it back or to reel it back in, that might feel overwhelming. I don't know where to start. I would try to think through sustainably what's realistic for you. How much time can you devote to it? And I wouldn't try to go overboard. For me, like I mentioned, I like to document what I'm doing. So even as we got here, hopped on Instagram, recorded an Instagram story, posted it, and moving on. I didn't have to think twice about it. Mm-hmm. But I didn't film some beautiful thing today, So I think that people overvalue the importance of a particular strategy on organic social because, and it's the thing that people most stress out about. I feel like too. And especially within larger organizations, I've noticed that they care way too much about a certain post. Oh, we wouldn't say it that way. Oh, we would say it this way. It's going to be gone. I mean, not gone, but it's kind of
buried. Yeah.
Buried. Yeah. Within a couple hours.
Sure.
So let's not overthink it. I think that if you can express yourself creatively, don't feel a huge burden by it. It's not kind of in the world if you post something a certain way, or if you talk about this on this day instead of something else. Mm-hmm. But it is fun. I think if you give yourself, it's like an artist with a canvas. You have to have a canvas in order to know what you're going to, paint or what you're going to do. What kind of tools do you have available to you? So create a framework for yourself so that it doesn't feel intimidating to post on social media, but don't feel imprisoned by that. And don't overthink that framework. The guy I was going to mention, I originally pitched, hey, let's do a wireframe for you. He's got a small budget, but I really want to help the guy. I said, hey, let's wireframe your website. At that point, you can decide to move forward or not. He goes, Evan, what I really want right now is for somebody to come up with an organic social strategy for me. And in my head, I'm like, you do not. I've already told the guy, I'm like, you can pay me to do that for you. Right. It's fine, I guess. But really, this is the thing that's going to deliver the high return investment for you is overhauling your website. I can tell you in a casual conversation, here's what you should post. Mm-hmm. And if he would just take that advice, but he's going to want to see something on a document that he can follow, which I guess is understandable. But all that be said, don't overthink social, create something that's sustainable, block off some time for you. Even if that's in the morning, that's when you're actually going to do it. For text messages for me, I only answer people in the morning for whatever reason. Yeah. And so I just know that about myself. Just build that self-awareness and make it sustainable.
Does it matter when you post and how you say what you say?
Yes-ish.
What about hashtags?
Important, but kind of overrated, I would say.
So you don't need to go find what hashtags everyone,
unless you're in that, niche.
Yeah.
And that really is important. So the desk setups that we were talking about earlier, if you're talking about desk setups and you want people to discover your stuff for desk setups, I bought whatever standing desk thing. I've been looking at Instagram for a month now. Eyeballing different desks. That's a walnut table. Yeah. This one has a thing through the middle of it.
Yeah.
And so I finally, I'm just looking through the hashtag because I'm actually using that. But if I'm just talking about general business tips, maybe people are searching business tips on a hashtag. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I would never think it. Add a couple in there, but it does look kind of tacky when you have a full page of 30 hashtags.
Yeah. Okay, you mentioned Storybrand a few times now. Let's talk about that briefly. I know a lot of companies struggle to talk about what they do. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies waste a ton of money on marketing, talking about what they do the wrong way.
Yeah.
Tell us what Storybrand is.
So it's a 7-part framework created by a guy named Donald Miller in Nashville. And what it does is it takes the 7 elements of story that are, universal around movies like Indiana Jones, or
Star Wars, Karate Kid.
Yes. Yeah. Well, pretty much all of them, right? We can go through and just
95% of movies all follow this 7-part framework.
Yeah. And I'm going to oversimplify it here, right?
Sure.
I'm not going to hit all 7, but I don't want to ruin it for everybody. But you've got a character who encounters a problem, who meets a guide, and then ultimately that's going to end in success or failure. So what you're doing is you're using this framework, or I use this framework for our clients in order to clarify their message so that they're not just talking about themselves, but they're positioning themselves as a solution to a problem. And not only that, but they're positioning themselves as a guide. So when people experience that issue, they're going to come to this company or client of ours for that solution to that problem. Mm-hmm. So it's very important in your messaging, because if you just talk about how awesome you are, that wireframe from that guy, he's awesome, dude. He's actually one of probably the best executive coaches out there. But on his wireframe, he just talks about himself just the whole time.
He's positioning himself as the hero in the client's journey.
Yes.
And ultimately, that's the big mistake that companies make, is that they don't recognize their role is not to be the hero. Their role is to be the guide.
Yes.
And your customer, your client, they're the hero, and you're there to help guide them on their journey. So when you're thinking through that in the context of social, how do you position what you're saying? I know, because is it good to stick to short and sweet, or is it, what's your philosophy around that when you're posting with that Storybrand mindset?
If you can think of yourself as the guide, mm-hmm. Okay. So I think it's very interesting, because I've seen our Slack channels with other Storybrand people. They could be a little intense on this issue. I don't think we need to overthink it. I think if you can just see yourself as the person who's there to serve other people, right? The guide, you help the hero win the day. That might look like talking about yourself, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen my wife and I, we share a family Instagram account, and all the people that she follows, like a lot of mom bloggers, they talk about themselves all day, but they do it in such a way where I'm guessing my wife is able to see herself in that story. Mm-hmm. So they're talking about their experience, but it's taking my wife, supposedly, I haven't asked her about this, but I assume it's taking her through this journey as she reads about this mom who's experiencing this thing with her kid and how that's similar to what we're experiencing with our son, whatever. And so even though it's talking about that person, they're talking about themselves, they're really there serving other people. Right. So there's that aspect of it, right? You can actually talk about yourself. I think that's fine. But if you can frame it in a way that I want other people to see themselves in my story, and it's not really about me, even though I'm talking about me, it's fine. The other side that I really like is providing unique value. So if I see myself as the guide in the marketing business space, entrepreneurship, whatever, I can then provide people tips and resources, whatever, on that. And that can be my strategy. Now, I do think that that's a bit overcrowded on Instagram right now. And there's plenty of people who have graphics that are really interesting that I even get caught up in, like mm-hmm. Jeff Bezos' net worth or whatever. Yeah. So there's an opportunity for that, but I definitely think whatever that thing is relative to your craft, what can you uniquely bring people value in regards to Storybrand? That's organic social. Let's go to paid social just for a second, if you would. So as we look at Storybrand there, it's incredibly important that we use as few words as possible and we communicate very clearly. Okay. And so that's another Storybrand value, right? It's like the less words that you use, the better. And almost that
clarity is critical.
Yeah. Yes. And if you confuse people, you're going to lose. And the other idea is that the more calories that you ask for somebody to burn, the less likely they are to continue reading and actually pay attention to what you offer. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that
goes back to why YouTube videos are short and cutting all the time. You're just constantly trying to maintain engagement visually. Yes. And so when it comes to words, you're trying to be short, concise, intentional. Yeah.
And there is a opportunity to write really long Instagram microblogs, but I think you have to be a really good writer and you have to be using as little words as possible, but doing it in such a way that everything is packed with value. So there's that thought. But when we go to paid social, using as little words as possible, communicating as much value as possible. And what I mean by that is, what problem do you solve? Mm-hmm. How is my life going to be better on the other side of buying your product or services? Visually, either through photo or video, we want to show what success looks like. Mm-hmm. We also want to let people know what's at risk if they don't buy our products or services. And also, how are you uniquely positioned to solve that problem as a company, for them? So in ads, you can run countless variations. So we could take the 7 parts of the Storybrand brand script. I could pull one part from each part of that script, and then I could put each one of those things in the ad. And this is not the ultimatum. This is not saying that we have to do it. This is just an idea. You could pull each one and then just put that in a different ad. You could also do a one-liner in the Storybrand world. It's basically like you're introducing a problem, a solution, and what success looks like. So you could have a longer format of copy in addition to creatively expressing what success looks like for the customer and how they're using your products or services. And then put all those into a bigger marketing strategy, put them into a good campaign that's targeted well and it's got the right objectives, the right timing, all that jazz. So imagine we upload all of this creative into Facebook, right? We've got the right strategy, we've got the right targeting, it's part of a bigger marketing strategy. And then what happens is that we can trust Facebook to show the right ad at the right time to the right people in order to get the results that we're asking from it.
And are you blindly trusting that? Or does Facebook just say it optimizes it? Or can you see that that's happening?
When you get good enough, you can look at the data that they provide for you. So you can look at things like click-through rate, you can look at cost per conversion, whatever your objective is. There's actually a lot of different ways to optimize a campaign, which is really, really important.
And just for people that don't know, real quick aside, what is a campaign?
It's the highest structure in creating an ad in an ad account. So
I'll tell you what I think it is. Like a campaign for me is, I want to have this end result, and here are all of the ways that, here are the different posts I'm going to put out, different ads, et cetera, and ways I'm going to connect people in order to get there, in order to either raise awareness or move people to action. Or is that accurate?
Yes, and.
Yes, and. Okay.
So they're just leveraging the word campaign, which is still true there, to what the structure is within the ad account. So the structure within an ad account for Facebook is a campaign to an ad set to an ad. So I can create multiple ads.
Campaign name, all these different ads, and then it like delivers this particular one based on, is this where the optimization happens?
Kind of. So think of it, now like there's all different kinds of techniques to structure a campaign. There's different ones I like to try out. So let's say we plateau in growth, I might restructure the ad sets and keep the same ads just to see if it changes the optimization of the campaign. So you can optimize at the campaign level, you can optimize at the ad set level. What I want you to picture the ad set is just targeting. It's not just that, but just imagine campaign is what's your objective, ad set is who do you want to talk to, and then the ads is the actual creative. So the copy and the media. Okay. When we give Facebook, let's say we have one campaign, and in that campaign there is one ad set. After that ad set, we can upload 10 different ads.
Okay.
I don't know what the limit is, but we could do a lot. So
ad set is like a group of like a demographic, basically, or target
we want to
audience.
Talk to business owners in Alpharetta, Georgia, or Milton, Georgia. Let's say we pick those 2 cities. We've targeted business owners. I'm not sure this is the campaign that I would run, but let's say we went there, and now we've got 10 different types of creative. And like I mentioned, you want to talk about success, and because you love your company, you don't want to be negative. Right. But I just have an opinion. I'm like, you know what? I think that in light of Storybrand, we should probably talk about the problem that they're experiencing. They can't communicate what they do via video, and that you guys need to solve that for them. But you want to talk about how they're going to grow their business, and that matters. But I want to talk about the problem of not being able to communicate what you do. Mm-hmm. So what we end up doing is we say, okay, great. Let's disagree. Let's agree to disagree. Let's just try it out.
Sure.
So we put both in there, and then if Facebook's going to tell us which one is actually performing the best. And so now I can look at the same media creative. So we have the same video and have 2 different copy options, and we can almost test the 2 and see what's most effective.
That's where split testing comes in. Is that
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating. We could talk about this for days, obviously. For the person watching, business owner watching, going, man, this is obviously it's important, but my head's hurting, and I don't even know. I don't have time for all that. That's not my core competency. All this stuff came out after I started my company or whatever, or it's just not what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And they want to outsource or hire that person or team member to take care of this.
You're in a tough spot because if you're that person, you're probably uneducated, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. You're probably really educated. Maybe you got a bachelor's degree.
You just don't know about social media.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Which is why you want to hire somebody, which is the right decision.
And let's be clear. I mean, all of this is really new. This is not something that has been around as long as, copywriting or whatever. I mean, you've got this technology, this capability that's really like, 10 years, really before since.
So I think I just say that because I think that there are business owners who have come to us before, like before they work with us, and they are burned. And somebody promised them something that they couldn't deliver on. And they had an idea that this is the type of person that they needed to hire. They needed to hire a social media manager to grow their company. And a social media manager is important, okay? But they didn't have anybody to speak into their overall marketing strategy, an expert on that. And so they left the non-expert, the business owner who is amazing at their craft,
right?
But they're not an expert in marketing strategy. They're just picking random things. And so sometimes either an agency or a freelancer will agree, oh yeah, we can offer that service for you. Absolutely. Which is fine. It's a valid thing. If somebody's really good at their craft, that's amazing. But I think that if you don't understand how that fits in the bigger picture, you're going to waste a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
So I guess I just feel for the business owner, and I also feel for them because it's really hard for them to decide or figure out who's really good at this and who's not. And if I could, I'm going to give you an example. So when, the company that we just acquired, right? The virtual assistant company.
Sure.
Part of the issue that we're having is that they were over promising on stuff that they couldn't deliver in. A lot of our team is in the Philippines, which is fine. And a lot of them speak really good English and been working like with American companies for 10 years. But there's not only that language barrier sometimes, but they're also virtual assistants. They are not ad specialists. They're not marketing specialists. And yet they're doing that and offering that as a service. So we were like, we're kind of, I'd say freaking out, but like we're having to make a distinction. Hey, we do not offer this. We have current clients, future clients. We do not offer this because we are a virtual assistant company. This is the services we offer. It's within our scope. But average Joe out there probably ran into the company before this and hired them to do it. And it was exceptionally disappointed and frustrated. And they wasted a lot of money on it. So who you should look for is somebody who has proven results. Okay. They should be able to show you a track record in the ad space. I can talk about the organic in a second, but in the ad space, they should be able to show you a direct return on investment. Don't get caught up in clicks. Clicks are important, but if somebody's selling you clicks, it really doesn't matter because what you're really concerned with is growing your company.
Conversion, yeah.
Yeah. So that ROI, like I mentioned, that's really important. They should be able to literally show you, pull you into an ad account that they have, show you exactly how they're making other people money and how they're going to do it for your company.
Yeah.
If you're looking for an ad specialist. I would start with like somebody who's understands marketing strategy and make sure that you have a good marketing strategy. Everything's going to be cohesive. You can pick and pull different people in for different projects. And then lastly, there's organic social. And there's kind of two sides depending on the type of company that you are. If you're smaller, probably less than 5 to 10 people, you're only going to have like one organic social person. And I don't think that the person who's doing organic social should necessarily do the paid. It's okay if they try to do that just to get, boots on the ground, get some momentum and, force there. But I think that the skill set that the organic social person has is more of that creative type.
Right.
And if you can, what's even better is if you hire a creative type who can just document, who can real-time story tell, they like copyright. Those are all great qualifications for that person. And then one day when you're big enough, you hire somebody to just do community management. So they can
community management. Okay. So they're the ones who are managing all the comments, all the requests or whatnot.
Yes.
Questions.
And that matters more for companies that have 40,000 followers or more.
Yeah.
Because that is a full-time job sometimes.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And you can combine that with your support email box or something like that. But that's how I delineate it. Is I would start with a marketing strategist, but if you're getting technical with social media, I would look at an ad specialist or advertising specialist who has results that you can see, and don't look at screenshots like just generic screenshots. Those matter, and they're probably not lying. You hope the person's not lying. But you never know, And then there's the organic strategy. Really, they should just be a good copywriter and also have an eye for aesthetics. That's really important.
What about design, So
yes. So I hired somebody at a job I was at like a while ago, and they were really good at photography and graphic design. And those were two big strengths that they brought to the table for organic social. They don't have to have those. You could work with freelancers as long as they have the eye for the aesthetics and they could say, oh, that's not it. Or here's a mood board of what I'm looking for. You could subcontract that out to somebody else. So you just want somebody for pretty much most of these roles. You want someone who understands how this fits in the bigger picture and has an idea of where we're going in the future, or just, it doesn't have to be the perfect idea, but they have some idea of where they're going. And then you could subcontract out these little nuts and bolts. Like you say that person who's doing social media is not the best at video, but a video person. Bring a video person in. It's totally fine.
Okay. Couple questions. Are there any tools up front that you would recommend, or it's SaaS apps or otherwise, for the solopreneur, the young companies, et cetera, to use? I mean, I know we use Buffer. Are there any other kind of tools like that you would say, hey, you guys should check out this to help you get started, or they're really helpful with your SEO or otherwise?
Buffer is great as an affordable option. I think that it has a lot of simplicity to it. It's got a minimalist design, so it doesn't require a lot of calories to understand what it is you're doing, which is valuable, especially for the entrepreneur.
Yeah, and for those who may not know, Buffer is just a app that allows you to post across multiple social media channels simultaneously or otherwise. You can manage your posts and so forth. But yeah,
so I like Buffer for that.
Yeah.
The upgrade from that would be Sprout Social, and you can manage a lot. I think they have other platforms that you can manage in addition.
Okay.
Some of them might be the same, but the analytics are really good.
Okay.
And I like to know if I was that social media account person, I was running the social media account, I would want to know the analytics and what's working and what's not. And you can tag different posts, and you could say, oh, the picture of, the 3 girls did better than the picture of the 3 guys. And you could learn from that, and you could get better.
Okay.
That's a good idea. As far as SEO goes, we haven't talked much about it, but SEMrush is probably one of the best ones.
How do you spell that?
SEM.
Okay.
Just Rush, I think.
Okay.
It has more analytics than you would even want to know, So it's incredibly advanced.
And that helps you with your blog or with your actual social posts?
So we could unpack different elements of SEO.
Okay.
There's technical SEO, there's on-page SEO, there's off-page SEO.
We even have a whole other episode we talk about SEO.
Listing management, SEO matters.
Stay tuned for part 2 with Evan next year. No, it's
right.
Yeah.
I would say, I just want to mention real quick on SEO. I think it's important, but as far as for creatives go, it's not going to immediately grow your company. It's something that you should spend maybe an hour a month thinking about and being intentional about, but it's not going to immediately grow. It's just not. Reputation management is probably pretty important. So if you're on Thumbtack or you're on some wedding venue or something like that.
What is Thumbtack?
Thumbtack is you can hire out freelancers for all kinds of different jobs, not just creative jobs. So there's
is that like Upwork or no?
Yes.
Okay.
In a way, but it's more local. Okay. So you can do your own reputation management, which is really just getting reviews and making sure that your page is completely filled out. That's a really oversimplified version of that. SEO matters. It's important, but...
What about review companies like Clutch? You heard of Clutch.co?
Yes.
Okay. How important is that? How helpful is that? Because Clutch will say, hey, it's free to use. You can get incredible reviews. We can get you on the first page of Google, if you're in a certain...
Yes. Yeah, so Clutch and all their, other various sites that you can have your site or your business listed on, it's great. They matter. Go ahead and claim your profiles. Yep. You got some great loyal customers who are willing to write reviews for you. Have them do that. But I wouldn't say that it's worth overthinking. Most of this stuff when it comes to SEO, you can choose to be really, really good at it and, be a specialist and show the first, 5 results of a Google search, which is important. But most people are going to land in the middle. And I don't think for the people that land in the middle, it's worth overthinking. I think it's worth educating yourself or contracting out somebody who really knows it. But don't spend a whole lot of time and effort on that, on the organic side of SEO and social. Again, it is important and it still matters, but don't get upset if a post isn't exactly what you want.
Sure.
But it should be on brand.
So something you mentioned, go ahead and grab your profiles. Sparks a thought for me because it seems like every minute there's another social thing being born. What's your opinion on that? Because we can have profiles all over the place, but is that a waste of time or should you just stay focused? And my thinking is it's probably better just to, kind of be in this lane, these 3 lanes better more than it is to spread yourself out and worry about trying to claim stake your name all over the place.
So I would say yes, it is worth you at least claiming the, at whatever.
Even if you don't do anything with it, it's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be unfortunate if somebody else wants it and actually does something with it. There are those people where, my own domain would like that.
Yeah.
But I remember I paid for my own personal name, evanknox.com, a couple $1,000s for it. And I don't know if it was available 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
But if it was, I should have paid whatever dollar amount because I paid way too much. I've also bought handles is what they're called for those little @ signs. I've bought handles before for other people or for myself. And
is there a handle domain, like a handle broker somewhere? I didn't even know that was a thing. Do you have to
I just DM them until they
there you
finally answer. So,
yeah.
Just go ahead and claim it. It takes 10, 15 minutes of your time. Just don't be lazy. Grab it. Now, do I think that you need to go into the App Store and look at all the top 30 social networks and go claim it? Probably not, but it might be worth your time to go grab top 10. Just go grab your Snapchat handle. Who knows? Maybe it can make a good comeback. And then the other thing I would say is, you were kind of alluding to it. Do whatever you think you're best at. So if you're really good at YouTube, just crush YouTube. You don't need to really overthink all the other platforms.
Right.
There's a guy that I follow. His name is Graham Stephan. He is a real estate agent in California, but he makes all these videos about finance. And most of the stuff I'm already familiar with at this point, but I kind of like him. He's got all kinds of cool stuff. He's probably just a few years older than I am, but he's definitely financially better off than I am. And so I just like him, so I follow his YouTube. But at some point, probably 2 to 3 months into following him, I thought, I'm going to go ahead and follow him on Instagram too. And his Instagram is not nearly as put together as his YouTube page, but he still has 300,000 followers. And it's because he has this massive audience here. He's really good at this, but then they kind of cross over and he doesn't have to promote it. He might say, hey, if you're on Instagram or whatever, just add me there.
Yep.
He doesn't overthink it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. So switching gears, we talked about some of the tools that are there for people who are in it, but for the person who might be listening to what you're saying and saying, dude, this is exactly what I want to do. Like this guy is who I want to work towards that or otherwise. Where would they even begin? I just want to throw that out because I know there's certain people in the creative space that are going to want to do, what you do and offer that to other companies. So how do they get started? What's the best way for them just to kind of get their foot in the door, or where do they start out?
I would hope that person has a lot of drive and effort. And then if they do, I think that they should learn a little bit about each category. Because ultimately, if you're going to be a really successful entrepreneur or even marketer, stuff is always
Define
changing.
those categories real quick again, just to when you say category.
So let's say there's the paid advertising side. Okay, within the paid advertising umbrella, there's probably 1,000 different platforms that you can advertise on. You can advertise on Pandora, Spotify. You can do audio advertising through those. You could also do LinkedIn and Google and now TikTok ads. Tons of platforms, okay? But if you can just pick a couple, learn a little bit about it. I really like the free courses by most of these companies. I think that they're a great foundation. Ultimately, the stuff that you end up doing is not always exactly as they tell you to do, but you're going to understand how the platform works. So Facebook Blueprint is a good one. Google Ads has all of their awesome platforms. If you want to learn about advertising, go and check those out. If you want to learn about organic social, there's more than enough resources on blogs like Sprout Social's blogs, Later's blogs. You can also take those platforms courses, which is fine. And I think paying attention to what it is that the people that you currently follow and what they do really well is another great way to learn. Like Gary Vee, he's kind of the, I'd say one of the kings of social, just because he's been preaching how important it is. He does it really well.
Yeah.
He produces an absurd amount of content. So learn a little bit about each one. And if you're not willing to learn, I'm not sure marketing is for you. And that might sound harsh, but I say that because I think that if you want to be really good at one craft, let's say we were really good at graphic design. Sure. Graphic design might evolve as far as style goes, but it's not completely reinventing the wheel. But when you look at marketing strategy, it is almost always changing. Now, the macro level, brand awareness, consideration, conversion, that was still true for my grandfather. But the actual nuts and bolts of how you go about that might change. And where you're going to get the highest return on your investment, that might change. So I like that. Also, we're big fans of Storybrand here. So I like Storybrand, all their business made simple stuff. And I think that I don't know that this is the route that I would do, but I would suggest this to most people is if you can apprentice under somebody. So there's
so important.
Yes.
The apprenticeship model is, that's how the greats were created back in the day, right? And it's kind of a dying art. You've got to, I'm there with you on that.
There's a guy, I won't say who it is because I know he does not want people asking him, but there's a guy who's probably 10 years farther than I am in the entrepreneurship space as far as buying and selling companies and creating them and all that stuff. And so he, at one point, just he didn't throw it out to me. He was just talking about, we were going back and forth. He's I'm looking for somebody that can come and help me manage my portfolio of companies, that can come in and be like a mini apprentice to me. And I'll give a percentage of equity of the companies. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, that is sick. I was like, I don't know who you should and then, we both were joking. He's like, it's not, I don't think that you need that.
It's not you, Evan. Sorry.
Right, basically. I wouldn't have wanted it to be me. I don't do well of I can work for other people, but it's not my favorite. So anyway, I think that would be a great way is to apprentice under somebody like him. And if they're, anyone, if they want to learn how to do a video production company or
it's almost like you could probably bet. I mean, most people are pretty cool. I mean, I just think overall, in terms of humanity, if you were to find someone who's doing this really well, or maybe they're farther along, and just simply ask them, right? Go up to them and say, "Hey, you're doing. I see you doing amazing at this. Yeah. Could we have coffee? Could we go out for? Can I buy you lunch? Kind of figure out, even if nothing else, they can pour into you for an hour or two, or maybe if you get lucky, you find yourself in that apprenticeship kind of position."
And there would probably be expectations, right? I don't know if you get paid. I don't know if you do or don't.
Right, but at that point, I mean,
you're learning.
You want to learn or not, right? I mean, the learning is kind of where the value's at. What do you know today you wish you'd known before? And what are you learning today that you're excited about? Where you're headed next?
Okay. The first one, what do I wish I knew back then? Take everything with a grain of salt. Just don't overthink it. I mean, I've kind of said that a few times, but you
touched on that earlier, right? About each post isn't this huge critical thing that you has to be perfect before you hit post.
Yes. And I originally started Caffeine mainly doing organic social. And then I saw how much it mattered, but it didn't dramatically impact revenue if we had a call to action that day. And so I thought, this is important. I know it's important, but I don't think this is the thing that's the biggest lever to pull to grow the company immediately. And so that's when I shifted over to marketing strategy. So I wouldn't overthink all the small stuff. That's kind of why I keep saying that sort of thing. Is I think it matters in context to a strategy. I think it's worth your time, but how much time and how much money? I'm not sure.
I think there's a lot of people who probably feel a weight lifted, it's so comforting or helpful.
But I hope they don't do nothing.
Right.
That's not
you got to absolutely.
Got to do something.
Okay.
So there's that. And then maybe what I'm learning, I really love processes and systems. And specifically, I've been exploring more of that as we acquire more companies or as we become partners in some of them. So why I think it's really interesting to me is I love this idea of being able to scale something. And if luckily in our little group, it's not my problem to solve, but let's say I have 4 or 5x a company's revenue, right? Well, there's all kinds of logistical challenges that we're on our little group call together. And Nick is like, dude, we gotta hire somebody now because we cannot fill any more
Sales
orders.
has created a problem.
It has.
This company, I mean, that's the job of sales, is to force a company to grow, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's good.
So anyway, I love this idea.
So you're diving into that more.
Yeah, and just even I'm not typically the one who creates those operational processes, but for that virtual assistant company, I'm helping out with that more. And I'm just talking about video. So I really like this idea. Mike Michalowicz, he just came out with a new book. It's called Fix This Next. I'm going to read it soon. Mike, if you ever listen to this, but the clockwork one has really been helpful for me. And I love this idea of video documenting processes. Okay. So as you're doing something, let's say that you guys were editing a video and you know that, hey, here's our secret sauce on how we edit videos for this type of content. Instead of sitting there over the shoulder of a new person or an intern, you could say, hey, watch this video real quick. And it's 5-10 minutes of you explaining exactly how you do it, why you do it that way, why it matters, instead of them reading some sort of Word doc, which is painful to read.
No, not the way to learn that.
Yeah. Okay,
so super helpful. I know we've talked a lot about different topics, but in many ways just skimming the surface, because as we said, we could talk about this for days. But to the veterans out there who are in the social space and have been doing it a long time and are just kind of up in their game little by little still, I mean, what would you say to them? I know we've talked a lot to the I guess sort of rookies out there maybe, or those just starting out, but what would you say to the veterans watching?
Yeah, I would say if you found a lot of success on organic, which if you're, if you've done YouTube videos for 10 years now, you're obviously, there's something to that, right? And I think sometimes they can become, it's spoiled is not the right word, but they can go, well, why would I pay for ads?
Right.
Why would I do that? I think that if they could learn that or hire somebody or reinvest back in their company with ads, it can be really important. Some of them might even have this thing against ads, but I think that even if you saw, let's say you had 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, if you showed them a really targeted retargeting ad, that was a thing that was going to help them dramatically. Like, let's say Graham Stephan offers me some sort of course that I would find really helpful. I mean, golly, of course. I mean, I think the guy's awesome. I love his content. So I would buy the course immediately. So I think that that's a great idea. Is if you are that organic person, you've got thousands of followers, you're doing really well. Obviously, you're creative. You know what you're doing there. Don't be afraid to monetize what you're doing through ads. People like me, not going to find it tacky. I'm gonna probably buy your product.
And is there some like mastermind or master class secret something that's out there for those who are kind of like, all right, I feel like I've learned, hit this ceiling?
Most stuff is free at this point.
Okay.
Now, I almost think that like I've paid absurd amounts to be part of courses, like just even Storybrand, right?
Sure.
We pay a pretty penny to be a part of that community, and that information is already available. Everything in there already available. But obviously we stay for the community, but really it's the curation of information. So you could go pay $500 to learn Google Ads. You could totally do that. Not a bad idea, because probably some of these courses are really good. They're going to show you some unique angle. But make sure that you do all the free ones first. Make sure you watch all the YouTube videos on it and give yourself a really good base understanding so that when you do take that course, you'll know, all right, does this person know what they're talking about or not? Do I need my refund, or am I really learning some unique tactic here?
With all this free stuff out there, is there any certification that comes with it? Or, I mean, how do you know who? It's like, yeah, I watched that free course.
You could look at, and now it's helpful, right? Like if you have a Google Ads certification, or you're a partner of theirs, or Facebook, you're a marketing partner of theirs, or you've got a certification by them, that does demonstrate some level of understanding, which is obviously important. I know plenty of people that make stupid amounts of money and have never taken one of their courses. I do think there's kind of you just have to discern. I mean, you have to go, okay, if I'm hiring somebody, they have that, it's great. But should you as the individual get the certification? If it's just your effort and it's only going to require maybe like $100 for the test, I would for sure do it.
Yeah.
But
people love certifications.
They do.
Companies love them.
Yeah, they do. And to me, I'm kind of like, show me the whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to appeal to a small business owner who knows nothing about marketing, and you feel in your heart, I'm just assuming the best, that you really can help them, and you need to demonstrate to them that you can actually help them, a certification is probably going to show that. It's probably going to go
get that little peace of mind they're looking for. Yeah.
It's probably going to help you get hired or whatever.
Okay. Man, this has been so awesome. I appreciate the time, dude. Tell the audience, whoever's watching, that may want to get a hold of you, hire you, whatnot. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so if you want to go to caffeine.marketing.com, and you can get a free sales guide on how to build a winning funnel. Basically, all the marketing guide or the marketing funnel stuff we talked about, I'll lay it out in like Lego terms, right? So you'll just build it. It's a checklist. It's really easy. That's on caffeine.marketing. Or if you want to connect with me, you can go to evanknox.com.
Dude, thanks so much, man. This has been awesome. I know I've learned a lot. I know our listeners have learned a lot. We could keep going for days, as I've mentioned. Definitely want to have you back. Guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss when Evan's back on the show. We'll dive in deeper on so many more of these topics. But yeah, man, in the meantime, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
See you guys.